This is the grill that I'm replacing. I want to build a better version of it. Welcome to day 2 of my 55-gallon drum grill build. That's very difficult to say. So yesterday I used an angle grinder to remove the paint off the grill. I'll hit these sides up later, but here it is, all shiny and paint free. So here I am, ready to continue with converting this 55-gallon drum into a grill. Had a couple of hiccups today, so my angle grinder, I couldn't get the wire wheel disc off of it. Embarrassing. Got all the paint off of the drum, prepping to cut it, and I can't get the wheel brush off of my angle grinder. It's a bit disappointing because I'm already nervous about using new tools and new skills that I've basically learned off of YouTube. So the fact that I can't even get the attachment off of the tool is not really boosting my confidence right now to cut it. But I'd rather have hiccups at this stage than at the cutting stage, hopefully getting, you know, all of this type of thing out of the way. So here I am at Home Depot. I'm gonna go and see if someone can help me get this wheel off. 2 minutes later, success. That they could take this off of here for me. These drums are great to make if you have a lot of scrap and stuff around. The drums are pretty inexpensive. I got this used drum for about $5. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of scrap metal lying around, so when I went to find some aluminum poles that I was going to use to make the stand out of, they were really, really expensive. They were $10 each, so that would have been $40. And then the casters, the wheels that I was going to attach, were about $5 each, so that's $20. So $60 it would have cost me to construct the stand. So what I did instead was I went to Harbor Freight and I got this stand that I had put together. And so I am going to use it as the stand for the grill. So the plan is to cut out this portion here in the front and the back. And so this will also get me used to kind of using the angle grinder to cut before I actually start cutting into the drum here. So the things that I want to do is I want to have a pipe attached here. Hopefully I'll be able to get this off. It's kind of stuck. But I'll have a pipe coming out of here for the smoke. So with that in mind, this is where I'm deciding where I want my door cut. So I don't want it exactly on top of here. I want it a little bit forward. Okay, so now I'm just going to measure how I'm going to start cutting the door. Trying to keep it straight and level. So for the sides, I've already measured this tape based on the strip, the aluminum strip that I want. Okay, so this is what it looks like so far. I've got it on the cart. I cut these flaps out so that it could sink down in there. Pretty happy with that. Looking good. Got it taped off, so getting ready for the big cut. Dun dun dun. On this side the same. Alright. Alright, so for the next stage I am going to measure out my stripping that's going to go along the seams of the drum. So at this point I've decided that I'm going to use the Dremel to cut the sheet metal. Things that I've learned during this first build is that the Dremel isn't the best tool to use when cutting the sheet metal, especially when I have an angle grinder at my disposal. So I'm going to go ahead and let this rip and show you some of the issues that I was having with the Dremel during this time. So at this time, the wheel on the Dremel broke and I have to take it off and replace it with another. I do believe during this build that I did cut at least one of these sheets using the Dremel, but after that I decided just to use the angle grinder, but I still wanted to show this just in case, just all the stages of the build. So I'm super excited to use this angle grinder, but one of the things that I'm noticing is I'm cutting something that is currently on wheels, and that's not the smartest decision. Also, yes, long sleeves. Whenever cutting with an angle grinder, those sparks are flying and you will get burned. In fact, one of the things that I realized, even with this shirt, that I just didn't have the best protection on. And so I've decided to go and switch it out for something with a little bit of heavy material. And here we go. Good going, Shelly. Good idea. Let's take that flimsy shirt off and let's replace that with thicker material, denim, and it is pretty hot in the garage. I mean, here in Arkansas we're looking at mid-80s, and so I'm in a garage. Of course the door is open for ventilation. But these are things that you learn, and I'm fortunate enough to have learned them pretty safely.
It is
so
cutting through. So I'm excited.
I am excited that it's actually cutting through. And now we continue. You see how it jumps? You don't have much of a learning curve for a piece of equipment like this. version for more stability. I've taken the drum off of the red mobile cart and decided to cut it directly on the garage floor. I have something to help brace it. I'm also using my knee to help brace it, and so I'm getting a little bit more into the cut. Success! So the door has been completely cut off and removed, and now I'm pre-drilling the holes for the hinges for the door. So we've drilled all the holes, we're installing the hinges, and at this point I'd like to pause and draw your attention to the gunky substance on the interior of the drum. This is the reason why after putting the hinges on and getting all the way to this point, I had to stop and start completely over. Okay, so here we are on what would be day 4 of the drum barrel barbecue grill. At the point where I find myself having to start this project over because the first grill that I selected is not food grade, and I just don't want to risk harmful chemicals leaching into the foods that I prepare for myself and my loved ones. So starting from scratch with a new barrel that is food grade, and so today what I've got to do is get everything back together. My rivet gun is stuck again, so between that and the wheels being stuck on my angle grinder, things have been taking a long time for the first build. The second build, getting everything back reset, and hopefully it won't take 3 days to get to the point that I got to before. I'm going to do not so much shortcuts, but I think I have a better understanding of the steps that I'm going to take to construct this grill. So I'm going to change the order of things for a bit. So first up, I've got to use my Dremel to fix my rivet gun, and so then I'll come back and we'll go from there. So this is where the 3 hinges are going to go. Like on this beta version model here that I did. Again, can't use this joker because it's not food grade. Don't want harmful chemicals to leach in. So I'm going to remove the hinges that I put on here and put them on here. Next, I am going to drill holes here for my capping strips. What the capping strips are for, if you've noticed here when you cut, it's pretty jagged and uneven, even after I use the angle grinder to not make it so rough. The capping strips that I cut are to go here to kind of smooth out those edges so you won't get cut. So that's what's going to go here and frame the door. So when I do cut along here, this will cover any jagged edges. All right, let's continue. So I decided to, instead of just using this to place on the material and then marking with the pen, which I've done, I still was having issues after I drilled holes having it lined up with this. So now I'm using the steel capping that I'm going to place here to also guide my drill better to start off these holes. Then I'll remove this and finish out my holes here. Measure the distance between them for the bottom capping. I've got one more piece of metal, sheet metal, that I'm going to go across. I know it's a little bit short, but this stuff is kind of expensive, so it's just going to have to make do. So where you see the last clamps, that's where the door is going to end. This is excess that I'm going to trim off. So basically, let's see how close we come. Could use an extra piece from this metal because it's not going to be this wide. I'm going to cut it in about 1/3 to 1/2, and so then I can take another piece for there. Okay, all holes are drilled. We have the hinge holes there. We've got the holes here for this side capping. The same holes that we'll hear for the bottom of the grill door capping, side capping. All right, it's time to remove some paint. burned the grill out, and I fabricated these rails in here. Let's move this out the way. So that I can use these to easily kind of reload the charcoal. And what they do is they slide out of this door here. If I can show that. So they'll just slide on out. It's easier to show it sliding around with just one in here. Okay, so this is the finished project. I've got this elbow over here and 12-inch nipple. They're about 2 inches in diameter. So if we come around to the other side over here, you'll notice I have a door cut out and hinges attached. This is for the easy removal of those trays inside. It's a pretty bad cup job, but it's alright. And I'll get something to hold that door up. So these little bars are something that I just included. It'd be easy to pull out instead of doing a whole shelf. And the trays fit perfectly on it. And so this way I can take my chimney and fill it with hot charcoal if necessary. So this is what it looks like on the inside. I fabricated those rails. I cut the angle iron to the length of the interior of the drum. And the handle here was one that came with the cart, but I just attached it to the drum instead of the cart itself. And there's the grate, which I will show cleaning up in a bit. I used a attachment for the drill to clear the rust off the grate, and then I later used some CLR and water to clean it up.